Do you remember a day when you woke up refreshed after a solid night of sleep? I remember that day, February 1st, 2017. I had a tough month in January, battling bronchitis, laryngitis, and insomnia, and I was so glad that season was over with. And I felt energized and I wanted to celebrate that day. I had prearranged to meet with my wife and son that evening for dinner up in Anaheim, and we lived down here in Aliso Viejo, California, south of Irvine. And that morning I remembered, hey, it was our first anniversary after launching a pastors network for next generation Asian American pastors and church leaders. And we had came up with an idea for that at Ruby's Diner in Irvine along the view of a lake. And I wanted to get there, invite all of my friends. There were 4 of us who had come up with the idea and worked on our first gathering just a year ago, and I wanted to celebrate. And that spontaneous idea motivated me and energized me, and I was so excited that we were going to get together and really have a wonderful celebration over breakfast. Well, it turns out none of them were available, but I still had a good breakfast that morning. And just that last weekend, I'd bought my son, who was in college, a new used car from CarMax. We got a good deal. It was a bright yellow Fiat, and I was just going to be out and about all day and enjoying the day. I had a flexible work schedule, so I could just work from anywhere there's internet. And so I went from Irvine to Costa Mesa, and then on the way up to Westminster to make a few other stops because I had a few meetings that day. I remembered, hey, maybe I could stop by the store and get some gifts for my network of friends. So we called it 30 Network, and I wanted to get 30 gift cards at Fry's Electronics. So I picked up 30 gift cards, picked up a few other gifts for my family and my friends, and I had a receipt that was taller than me. So I did a big shopping binge, not for me, but for my friends, and I was just so excited I could be generous and celebrating life again after such a tumultuous month just a few weeks before. And later on I picked up a hot water maker. I even dropped in on my father and mother-in-law's church, and that was a pleasant surprise for all of us, and met some of the pastors, and they were having a prayer meeting, and I was practicing my broken Mandarin. So my heritage background is Chinese, and I speak just a little bit of Mandarin. And so I was encouraged by seeing them. They were encouraged by seeing me. And then come to dinner time, we drove to Anaheim Packing House, and they have a great food hall, which is the new trend there here in California, where all these little eateries, instead of the food court like in indoor malls, it's a food hall, often in a renovated warehouse or some kind of a neat ambiance kind of a place, hipster and stuff like that. And we were going to meet there for dinner, and I was excited to share with them the good news of me feeling like I'm more connected with God and how I've gotten well from the past month. And I think this was going to be the start of a new season of life after having been diagnosed with bipolar disorder for 17 years at that time. I never thought there was anything unusual in my life, but at the age of 34, this is in the year 2000, after a transition from working in the church as a pastor, I kind of lost my identity and didn't know what life was about, and I lost the joy, and I was confused, and I was feeling really depressed at that time in 2000, and so I got diagnosed with bipolar disorder because I was at the bottom of my resources, and I didn't know what to do. And I was scared because the only reference I had with bipolar disorder at that time was this other guy at church who was struggling, and he couldn't hold down a job. But all the way up to age 34, I was getting good grades. I was doing well at work, and life seemed normal to me. Sure, I had a tinge of sadness now and then. I deal with stress just like anyone else living in our world today. But at that time, I was really needing extra help. So I got on medication, I got talk therapy, I got well for the next 17 years. A pretty healthy routine. I stayed on medication. I wanted to be a good kid. I wanted to live well. And I was managing. Life. I typically had a up and down routine in terms of mood swings. 2 weeks up and 4 weeks down. And then once in a while I have to make adjustments when extra stress would come into my life. But life was going along for those 17 years. And on this day, I was feeling like I had taken, life had opened up to a whole nother level. And I wanted to celebrate it with my wife and son because I had a new vision and a dream that God had taught me through that past month of suffering. Fast forwarding back to the 2017, just so you didn't get lost in my flashback. And I wanted to share with them that I had a new vision and from what I felt was God, and He had shown me that I would have a new season of life and ministry, and I would be helping others connect with God too, maybe writing a book or something. So I roamed around Anaheim Packing House, and there was a secret restaurant there called Blind Rabbit. There were no signs, and people only knew about it by word of mouth or on Yelp if you knew how to find it. And it was in the basement behind the decor that looked like rice wine bins where they would ferment those, and in the midst of other food hall restaurants there. There was the ice cream place, there was the ramen place, the sandwich shop, Southern cooking, all kinds of other things. And I texted back and forth with my wife saying, "Hey, I got a surprise for you tonight. We're going to a secret restaurant." And I got there a little bit early, and I talked with the hostess, and she said, "Hey, we're full tonight. No room for any people to come in." But I thought I had a way in. I believed that I could persuade her to make room for us so that we could eat at the Blind Rabbit and that we could have a celebration. And I hovered around there. My mind started thinking up of creative solutions. I thought I could play some Jedi mind tricks and persuade her telepathically, and she started to soften on me. And I roamed around, and for a few moments I thought I was invisible and people couldn't see me as I was hiding in between places. And half an hour later, I got inside the Blind Rabbit and I sat down, and it felt so good to be inside. But I wasn't there for long. They knew I wasn't supposed to be there and asked me to leave, and I obediently left. And then I went to look for my wife and son. They were supposed to meet me there. And somehow our communications didn't connect, and they wound up eating somewhere else unbeknownst to me. And I kept looking and looking for well over an hour, maybe 2 hours, I don't know. I wasn't watching the clock. And they had eaten and they had left. I didn't know that. So I was looking around, and I just couldn't find them. And as the evening wound up, it was getting dark outside. I wound up outside trying to get back in, and the security guard wouldn't let me back in. I'm like, what's going on? I'm trying to find my wife and son, and I just wanted to meet up with them, and maybe we could have dessert, even though I missed dinner, and I was just getting upset. not angry, just upset. And then next thing you know, my wife and son show up. The police show up, and they were trying to have a conversation with me. I wasn't sure what I was saying, and they arrested me. I was put in the back of the squad car. I thought the policeman looked like Ryan Gosling, so I thought it was a special thing that was happening, and maybe I was being taken to the back lot of Disneyland or something. And we went into the ER of the hospital nearby, and I was admitted to the psychiatric ward for 72 hours. They told me it was a mandatory hold, and they took away everything I had, put on a gown, and there I rested for the next 72 hours. I slept most of the time. Never in my life did I think I would be admitted to the psych ward. I had a lot of time to think, but I wasn't able to think. Medically, they got me stable. I had no idea what happened during what is described as a psychotic episode. Apparently, some weird things happened. I don't think I hurt anybody. I didn't hurt myself. And the next 9 months was my recovery journey. What I had learned about self-care to manage my bipolar disorder for the past 17 years no longer was enough. I had to learn some new skills and new habits to manage my health and well-being. So for the next 9 months, it was quite a struggle the first few months, especially because they had to reconfigure my medication, and it took about 4 months for them to find the right mix where my mind could be clear again and that I could think and plan. It took about a month off from work, and I was grateful for a job that allowed me that flexibility. And then I had to slow down. That was the biggest lesson for the first half of the next 9 months, to slow down. Instead of taking 2 or 3 side projects in addition to my work, I needed to focus on none, recovery, and then after that season, maybe just 1 side project at a time. And I sought professional help in terms of medication, in terms of counseling. I got more sleep than I used to, so I'm averaging 9 hours sleep a night. I take an afternoon nap, and each and every day during that recovery period, I just could not think clearly. It was like I was driving around in my little car and the gears were stuck. I was stuck in first gear, and I couldn't kick it into second or third gear to think more actively and plan the rest of my day and do my work. Sometimes it felt like my little car was dragging along a tractor trailer, and I just could not get it to move. Sometimes it felt like I was running out of gas, or I ran out of gas and I had to get out of the car and walk. Sometimes it felt like there was mud on the windshield and I couldn't see where I was going. I couldn't think. I couldn't discern things. And then on occasion, it felt like my car was veering off the edge and I was going to fall. And this imagery helped me to communicate better with my counselor and with my friends about what was going on and how I was going to get through this. What helped me through this was also the spiritual resources. I recited Psalm 23 and the Lord's Prayer over and over and over and over. And eventually that reset my brain, helped me to get grounded again. Of course, I was plugged into a small group. I was meeting at a depression support group where people just shared for a few minutes and prayed for one another. And I had a playlist with 13 versions of Be Still My Soul, and I would just play that over and over and over to get myself stable and to get myself reset. so that I could live life well again. Halfway through, I started to get better. I even started getting vigorous exercise. I got a membership at a small boutique workout place called Orange Theory. And what's nice about Orange Theory is the coach tells you what to do for the 50 minutes. It's high interval intensive training. And it took me another 6 months to feel the difference it would make. But it helped me to realize that I've been breathing too shallowly, and that I could breathe better, and that would help my brain think better. So all of this has brought me back to normal and health. Never thought I would get here. I'm so grateful to be alive. Every breath is a gift from God. And in closing, I just want to share with you some of the practical ways that I've learned to manage my own self-care during that process. And it's a very simple list, and I'll make a spreadsheet that you can download and make it a checklist to see how you're doing in these areas each and every day when you're going through a time of stress or struggle. And then I'll close with a thought for you as part of a church community and how you can make your church a safe place to foster mental health of your members and your outside community. So 8 areas for your health and well-being. 1, sleep. Sleep is the anchor for your body and mind to reset for the new mercies of God each and every day. So sleep. The way I know I'm getting enough sleep is I don't use an alarm. So I do what I can to sleep at the same time every night, and then when my body naturally wakes up, that's how much sleep I need. Food. I didn't tinker too much with my diet. I just enjoyed what I ate and managed the portion. I call it my half-wife diet. So whatever my wife was eating, I would eat half the portion of that. And that helped me to manage my portion control. Exercise. During the first half of my recovery period, just getting up out of bed, listening to the words of Jesus, get up and walk. That helped me to get going each and every day. I didn't have to think about too much about what I was going to wear or what I was going to do that day. Just when I wake up, get out of bed, and that would be the first step that would help me get to the next step. Physical movement was great. Walking outdoors was a great start because walking outdoors, I got the fresh air. I got to see the flowers around me and the plants. I got to see the birds. And just like Jesus said, notice the birds of the air and the flowers in the fields and how God takes care of them. And that became a visual and immersive experience to help reinforce to me that God would take care of me too. So repetition and reinforcement helped me during that recovery period. Social life, I needed to be with people. So every day I would not only see my wife and son, and I'm blessed to have them, I would also schedule meetups with my support group, going to church. And I also had a dear friend that I'd known for 25 years that he would just meet up with me and we would sit together at Chick-fil-A, have lunch, have some banter, and just being together made a huge difference. Serving others, I think just sending an email or a text or a phone call to someone, just to think of someone, gets me out of my own situation, is a good thing. Medication as you need it. Some of us have an official diagnosis that requires prescription medication, but some of us just need a little more vitamin D and that kind of off-the-shelf medication. So work with your doctor on finding the right mix there, and then talk therapy as you need, whether it's professional help or just a safe place to unload your burden and have confidentiality is so vital and important for your overall mental and emotional well-being. life is hard and we can use all the help we can get. And the three things that helped me through this recovery period is I'm not alone, there is hope, and it's okay to get help. So those three things got me through the recovery period. It's still what keeps me grateful for life every day. And for you as a church, if you have any influence or opportunity there, just hold a weekly support and prayer group. It's very simple. There's probably some others that will talk about it here on the Church Mental Health Summit. Support group is just a place where people meet together. You agree to confidentiality. You might introduce yourself by first name. Everybody gets 3 or 4 minutes to share. Open floor, no cross-talking, so you don't talk and interrupt each other. You open and close with prayer, and you might take some prayer requests at the end. Go for about an hour or 90 minutes, depending on how many people you have there. Do that consistently every week, and people will know that they're not alone, there is hope, and it's okay to get help. Thank you for hearing my story, and God bless you during the rest of this Church Mental Health Summit.